The Koh-i-Noor isn't just a beautiful gem. It's a 105-carat death sentence. They call it the Koh-i-Noor, the Mountain of Light. But its true name might as well be River of Blood. By the end of this video, you'll learn how this single diamond played a role in the collapse of 4 empires, the downfall of kings, and carries a shadow so powerful that even Britain's royal family fears its touch. From the slave mines of ancient India to the Tower of London today, this $400 million question remains. Should Britain ever return what it claimed by conquest? Stay to the end for the most chilling revelation about what happened to the 10-year-old boy forced to surrender this diamond, and the curse that followed the empire ever since. The Koh-i-Noor's origins are shrouded in mystery and death. Some legends say it appears in ancient Sanskrit texts over 5,000 years old as the Siamantika gem, a diamond so powerful it could summon the gods. Others believe it's the legendary jewel from the epic Mahabharata, one said to bring downfall to all who possessed it. Through centuries of war, worship, and conquest, the diamond took many names before becoming the Koh-i-Noor. The Siamantaka in ancient Hindu texts, the Diamanta Grande under Mughal rule, and the Great Mughal to European travelers who glimpsed its shine. What we do know is this: the diamond came from India's fabled Golconda mines, where thousands labored under brutal conditions to extract treasures for kings and conquerors. These weren't just mines, they were traps. Workers descended deep into narrow shafts, breathing poisoned air, their bodies pushed beyond human endurance. And punishment for theft? Ruthless. Some were blinded, others simply never seen again. Legends claim it once weighed over 800 carats, 8 times its current size. But the first recorded description comes from Raja Alauddin Khilji, who overthrew the Kakatiyas. He described it like this: a diamond the weight of which is 186 carats. It is impossible to price such a jewel. Its value equals that of one day's food for all the people on earth. But even then, its legacy had begun to darken. The miners who uncovered it rarely lived to enjoy the rewards. The first ruler to wear it, assassinated within months. This wasn't just a diamond, it was a death sentence in disguise. For 2 centuries, it moved from kingdom to kingdom, in a river of conquest and bloodshed. Then came Babur, founder of the mighty Mughal Empire, who seized it in 1526 after defeating the Lodi dynasty at Panipat. In his memoirs, Babur wrote, its value could feed the entire world for 2.5 days. By then, it was known as the Diamanta Grande, or simply the Great Mughal Diamond. Babur's grandson Akbar wore it as an armband, believing it granted divine right to rule. When Shah Jahan, the emperor behind the Taj Mahal, came to power, he embedded the diamond in his legendary peacock throne. Built in 1628, the throne was a $1 billion marvel encrusted with 26,000 gems and solid gold. French jeweler Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, who saw it in 1665, wrote, "This is the most magnificent work ever conceived by man. The great diamond sits precisely where the peacock's eye should be, as if nature herself placed it there." But the diamond's shadow lingered. Shah Jahan was imprisoned by his own son, Aurangzeb. Left to spend his final years gazing at the Taj Mahal he built for his wife, while his son claimed the diamond. One court record tells of a diamond cutter who made a small mistake and paid for it with both hands. Every male Mughal emperor who possessed the diamond either died violently or watched their empire fall. Coincidence or something darker? In 1739, the diamond's journey took a devastating turn. Persian Emperor Nader Shah invaded Delhi with 50,000 troops, determined to seize India's legendary wealth. The Mughal Emperor Muhammad Shah tried to hide the diamond in his turban, but Nader Shah wasn't fooled. In a symbolic gesture, he proposed a Persian custom, exchanging turbans as a sign of friendship. When Nader Shah unwrapped the turban in private and saw the gem fall into his hand, he reportedly cried out, "Koh-i-Noor, Mountain of Light." What followed was catastrophe. Rumors spread that Delhi's citizens were hiding more treasures. Nader Shah ordered what became one of the most infamous massacres in Indian history. For 9 hours, his soldiers rampaged through the city. Tens of thousands died. Families, merchants, priests, no one was spared. A Persian court chronicler wrote, "The sun of India's prosperity set that day beneath an ocean of blood." 8 years later, the curse struck again. Nader Shah was assassinated by his own men. As he lay dying, the Koh-i-Noor was ripped from his royal armband. The diamond next passed to Ahmad Shah Durrani, founder of the Afghan Empire and one of Nader Shah's former generals. He took it to Afghanistan, where its dark legacy continued. After Ahmad's death, a bitter succession crisis erupted. His son Timur Shah inherited both the diamond and the throne. But after his passing, his sons launched a brutal civil war, each believing that possession of the Koh-i-Noor meant control of the empire. One of them, Shah Zaman, briefly held both crown and diamond. His reward? He was captured and blinded in an act of punishment so brutal it left a lasting scar on Afghan history. The diamond then passed to his brother, Shah Shuja, who quickly discovered that owning the Koh-i-Noor meant living in constant fear. In 1809, his enemies forced him to reveal the diamond's hiding place. They brought his infant son before him and made a chilling threat, one that left the Shah no choice but to surrender the stone. A British officer who witnessed the aftermath wrote, "I found the Shah in a state of wild distraction. He had given up the diamond to save his child, but feared they would kill them both regardless." Shah Shuja escaped with both the gem and his life, fleeing to Punjab with the Koh-i-Noor sewn into his clothing. The Afghan Empire never regained its strength, another victim of the diamond's curse. In Punjab, Shah Shuja sought protection from Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Lion of Punjab. Ranjit Singh saw his moment and made the desperate Shah an offer: safety in exchange for the diamond. With no other options, Shah Shuja surrendered the Koh-i-Noor for a fraction of its true value. Ranjit Singh wore it on his arm during royal events, later embedding it in gold armlets. Court records describe him staring at the gem for hours, mesmerized by its beauty. He reportedly told a British visitor, "This diamond is worth all the gold and treasures of my kingdom. With it, I control the destiny of Punjab." He may have been right, but not in the way he hoped. When Ranjit Singh died in 1839, misfortune followed. Within just 6 years, 5 rulers who inherited the Koh-i-Noor died in violent or premature ways. Eventually, the diamond passed to his youngest son, Duleep Singh, just 10 years old when the British Empire arrived at Punjab's door. The British East India Company had eyed Punjab for decades, drawn by its wealth and position. They stoked unrest, weakened the region's leadership, and waited for the right moment. After 2 brutal wars with the Sikh army, they drafted the Treaty of Lahore in 1849, a document that would formalize Britain's claim. Article 3 read, "The gem called the Koh-i-Noor shall be surrendered by the Maharaja of Lahore to the Queen of England." Duleep Singh, only a child, was forced to hand it over to Lord Dalhousie. British officers had already tracked its location and worth long before the war began. Eyewitnesses described the boy trembling as the diamond was taken. His people had endured starvation and siege. The message to the boy was clear: give up the stone, or else. What many forget, Duleep Singh wasn't even the rightful owner of the diamond. He was simply the last available signatory, just a child when the treaty was signed. The Koh-i-Noor belonged to the Sikh Empire, not to any one person. In his final will, Maharaja Ranjit Singh declared that the diamond should be donated to the Jagannath Temple in Puri. This wasn't just a gift, it was a return to divinity. Ranjit Singh believed the Koh-i-Noor belonged not to kings, but to the gods. He hoped that placing the gem before Lord Jagannath, one of Hinduism's most sacred deities, might finally break the diamond's legacy of violence, but the transfer never happened. British officials blocked the donation and years later arranged for a child ruler to hand it over, sealing the betrayal with a treaty. In private letters, Lord Dalhousie wrote, "The Queen has commanded me to submit for her consideration what should be done with the great diamond Koh-i-Noor, which is now the property of Her Majesty, the spoils of war." The gem is the historical emblem of conquest in India. It now holds place among the crown jewels of England. But the story didn't end with the surrender. The British separated young Duleep from his mother, converted him to Christianity, and forced him to England, not as a royal guest, but as a symbol of submission. Dr. Logan, his British Guardian, wrote, "The boy is being moulded into an English gentleman with remarkable success. Soon all traces of his native culture will be erased." When the Koh-i-Noor arrived in England in 1850, it was placed on display at the Great Exhibition in London, locked inside a golden case at the Crystal Palace. Visitors waited in lines for hours to catch a glimpse. Some said the jewel looked more like a captive than a crown, but Queen Victoria was underwhelmed. She found the diamond's traditional Indian cut too dull for European tastes. In 1852, she ordered it recut, reducing its size from 186 carats to just 105. Nearly half the stone's mass was gone. This wasn't polishing, it was butchery. The diamond that had witnessed centuries of conflict, the sacred stone empires bled for, was recut, some say butchered, to fit imperial tastes. And it wasn't even done in Britain. The gem was sent to Costa Diamonds in Amsterdam, where Prince Albert personally oversaw the operation. The cutting took 38 days, and the pressure was so intense, the lead diamond cutter reportedly collapsed at the end. The newly cut Koh-i-Noor, now worth over $400 million in today's money, sparked debate even in Victorian England. The Times of London wrote, "The Koh-i-Noor is a prize from the East. However we may try to justify it, it was taken by force from its legitimate possessors." Soon after the diamond arrived, a pattern of misfortune began. Queen Victoria faced scandals. Prince Albert died young. The British Empire slowly began to unravel. The royal family took note. Men who wore the Koh-i-Noor seemed to suffer. In her journal, Victoria wrote, "It seems to bring ill luck to its possessors." From then on, only women in the royal family would wear it, a tradition that continues to this day. Today, the Koh-i-Noor sits in the Tower of London, embedded in the crown of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. But its story isn't over. 4 nations, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran, continue to request its return, each pointing to a long and painful history of conquest, transfer, and loss. Since gaining independence in 1947, India has made formal appeals for the diamond to be returned. Former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru once said, "To Indians, the Koh-i-Noor is not just a diamond. It represents our lost heritage and the wounds of colonization that have never fully healed." In response, Britain passed the British Museum Act of 1963, a law designed to prevent the return of artifacts once absorbed into national collections. Over time, British officials began referring to the diamond as a gift from India to Queen Victoria, a claim that contrasts sharply with the historical treaty language. Legal framing aside, the debate continues to grow. In 2023, during Prince William's visit to India, protesters gathered with signs reading, "Give back what you took." Even Afghanistan's then government issued a claim, stating, "The Koh-i-Noor was taken from Shah Shuja Durrani in Peshawar, which was part of Afghanistan. It belongs in a museum in Kabul." Meanwhile, India's reparations movement has estimated that Britain owes over $1 trillion in value for colonial plunder, with the Koh-i-Noor as its most symbolic loss. Britain's official position remains unchanged. When asked whether the diamond should be returned, former Prime Minister David Cameron replied, "I don't believe in returnism. If you start down that path, you'd have to empty the British Museum." Indeed, you might. The Koh-i-Noor is not just a diamond. It is a 105-carat legacy of conquest, loss, resistance, and memory. The so-called curse, it hasn't faded. Britain, once the empire on which the sun never set, has lost influence every decade since acquiring the stone. From the mines of Golconda to the crown jewels in London, the Koh-i-Noor has left behind a trail of broken empires, betrayal, and unanswered questions. And one boy, Duleep Singh, spent his final years trying to reclaim both his faith and his stolen past. His last recorded words before dying in exile in Paris in 1893 were chilling. "The Koh-i-Noor will yet bring England to ruin. The curse follows the diamond." Looking at Britain's declining place in the world today, some wonder, was he right? Empires fall, stones remain, and some stories are too valuable to be forgotten. They called it a gift. You've seen the cost. Finders keepers, or empire's cover story? Should Britain give it back? Subscribe if you believe wealth leaves tracks, and we should follow them.